For our fifth and final lab exercises, we're going to look at using some of the features that I've outlined in the notes and slides for this week. So some of the more advanced features on it, as well as recapping and building on some of the exercises that we have done previously. So this is where it's really important that you try and complete all the previous exercises so that you can continue on with these. If you haven't completed the previous exercises, then I would suggest you go back and do those before you actually complete the following exercises. And some of these exercises will also help to prepare you, in addition to some of the other topics that we've covered in the notes, for your assignment. So the first exercise that you need to do is being able to take the word count and MapReduce code and perform calculations that don't take case sensitivity into account. We want to be able to look at converting everything to uppercase or converting everything to lowercase. So we need to be able to have a look at how you can actually do that. It's a simple change really to the code that we've already written. You just need to go back, being able to update that, being able to track that. Again, make sure you inspect the code, you inspect the files that are produced, you inspect what is shown on the web interfaces. When you've completed that, the next one is to look at the next exercise is to look at adding counters to your code. So you can take one of the previous MapReduce processes that you have created with all the associated code and think about how you can actually take the examples that I've given in the notes of how you can create counters and how you can add those to your code and where you need to add them and what kind of things would you really want to count. Now, when we're monitoring our code and the feedback from our MapReduce process, it gives us a certain amount of information about the number of records and the data that has been processed. We're already getting some useful information. What other information would you like to be able to determine? So it could be something to do with calculations or certain stats or certain analysis or whatever it might be that you want to do. So have a think about that and then being able to put in the code to be able to calculate all of that, and then how do you want to be able to format those numbers and those statistics or analytics as you're kind of posting them out at the end of your MapReduce process. The next exercise looks at using a combiner. So again, kind of going back to say the average word length lab, you can actually look at adding a combiner feature into that. So go back to one of your first MapReduce processes. It doesn't have to be the average word length. Pick one that you're most comfortable with. Look at what is required in order to create a combiner, what code it needs to contain, and how you can actually generate the jar and get that to run in Hadoop. And again, you need to go and be able to track that through using like the job tracker web page and being able to see what happens at each of those different stages. Another useful feature that some people like, I know I haven't covered this in the notes, but what you can do is a quick bit of Googling, look for a tool and tool runner for Hadoop and being able to add that in so that you can specify certain parameters for your MapReduce jobs at the command line. So I'll leave that for you to do a little bit of research about and being able to try out. I would also suggest that you try out some of the other features that I have covered as part of the notes for this week, so some of the more advanced MapReduce features. Look at your code, see how you can add them in, because some of those you might need to try out and implement as part of your assignment.